drones struck energy and military sites in St. Petersburg as officials gathered for Russia's annual economic forum.
The US military and Iran exchanged new strikes overnight as Kuwait says its airport was hit by Iranian drones, causing significant damage.
Spain is hosting one of the major military exercises organized by the EU, which has brought together some 2,500 military personnel.
Ukrainian drones struck energy and military sites in St. Petersburg as officials gathered for Russia's annual economic forum. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said the Ukrainian military targeted an oil terminal in the city, as well as an enterprise that produces Russian weapons. Russian authorities also confirmed that several of its infrastructure facilities were struck in 3 districts. It comes a day after Russia launched a massive drone and missile attack at Ukraine, killing at least 23 and wounding over 100 people.
Кожен з цих дронів, всі типи російських ракет взагалі не можуть вироблятись без компонентів, які завозять з інших країн. Тобто в кожному з таких ударів є, може хоч і несвідомо, але все ж таки співучасть тих, хто працює на Росії.
Zelenskyy warned Russia is preparing for another large-scale attack on Ukraine and urged allies to toughen its sanctions against Moscow. The Ukrainian leader also called on Washington to supply additional Patriot interceptors, which can intercept Russia's ballistic missiles.
The US and Iran exchanged new strikes overnight into Wednesday in their war following a stall in ceasefire talks and negotiations. The US military said it launched strikes on an Iranian facility in response to strikes on Kuwait and Bahrain, which failed to hit their targets. According to the US Central Command, 2 of those fired at Kuwait fell apart en route, while US and Bahraini forces intercepted the missiles aimed at Bahrain. But Kuwait's army later said Iranian drones had hit its international airport, causing, quote, significant building damage and injuries to a number of people. The US Central Command said it responded with strikes on an Iranian military ground control station in the Strait of Hormuz. The latest attacks come amid stalled ceasefire negotiations between the US and Iran, with hopes dampening over the weekend after Tehran stopped communicating with mediators, reportedly over Israeli military actions in Lebanon. On Tuesday, US President Donald Trump disputed reports that negotiations had stopped, claiming they were ongoing and continuing.
Israeli threats to strike Hezbollah strongholds in Beirut have been temporarily put on hold following talks between the Lebanese government and the United States, Lebanese MP Hassan Hasbani told Euronews. Yet the former deputy prime minister believes this agreement would be limited in scope.
I don't trust any side to stop anything because Hezbollah is an Iranian faction on Lebanese territory. Their actions are being largely dictated by the war that's ongoing today, and they are effectively a militarized force outside the Lebanese government control on the Eastern Mediterranean, controlled by Iran, and they are at war with Israel.
He stressed the Lebanese state is trying to de-escalate and avert further destruction in Lebanon.
Today, it is about how can the Lebanese government control all of its territory and establish its sovereignty with the help of its supporting countries, and to control the decision on war and peace so that we can avoid such a situation happening in the future where militarized factions on Lebanese territory can pull the trigger at any point in time and drag Lebanon into a war with Israel again.
Meanwhile, fighting continues between the Hezbollah and Israel in southern Lebanon.
Spain is currently hosting one of the major military exercises organized by the European Union. Milex 26, a series of maneuvers, has brought together some 2,500 military personnel from 13 countries in Zaragoza to test the European Union's rapid deployment capability in the event of an international crisis. The exercises aim to assess whether the European Union is prepared to mobilize forces in a coordinated manner and act swiftly in emergency situations. The exercises are being conducted at various levels of command, from the planning centers in Brussels to the units deployed on the ground. Spain is leading the European Union battle group participating in the exercises. Among the resources deployed are Leopard tanks, armored vehicles, drones, helicopters, and units specialized in intelligence, electronic warfare, and medical support.
Thousands of people took to the streets of Tirana, Albania's capital, on Monday to protest against a luxury resort project linked to US President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Affinity Partners, owned by Kushner, wants to turn the coastal wetland area into a huge resort. The project is planned to be built on several hectares of the protected Vioza-Nata coastal landscape and on the uninhabited Adriatic island of Sazan. Albanian anti-corruption prosecutors say they are investigating the project after environmental NGOs have long raised concerns that it could threaten the area's biodiversity and disrupt bird migration routes. Albania's Prime Minister Edi Rama, who earlier confirmed talks with Kushner over the deal that includes 10,000 hotel rooms, told lawmakers on Monday that the project does not encroach on the protected wildlife reserve. Rama said the final proposal has yet to be submitted and the environmental study done was not complete.
With just days left before elections on Sunday, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is walking a tightrope, balancing his pro-West push with efforts to avoid an escalating clash with Russia. He responded to the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union's call for an Armenian referendum on the country's pro-Western EU-line path, saying that the moment for such a choice has not yet arrived.
Սա էլ է շատ էական հարց, համենայն դեպս մինչև այն պահը, երբ Հայաստանը չի դիմել պաշտոնապես Եվրամիությանը, Եվրոպական միությանը անդամագրվելու համար կամ Եվրամիության անդամության տեխնացուի կարգավիճակին շատ մոտ չէ, որևէ հանրաքվե անելը անտրամաբանական է.
Armenia's EU membership bid is at the moment theoretical, Pashinyan pointed out. The Armenian premier further said that relations with Russia are in a transformational phase, but that he considered this process positive. Moscow continued its growing economic onslaught of measures and threats by banning imports of almost all fish products from Armenia on Monday, after restricting imports of various Armenian fruits and vegetables, as well as wine. The Kremlin has also threatened to cut critical Russian oil and gas supplies to Armenia.
Production has restarted at the former Dopla plant in Manfredonia in the province of Foggia, thanks to the Coopla Green Cooperative born from the commitment of former employees who acquired the production site and relaunched the company with an ecological focus.
Con determinazione, con impegno e soprattutto con tanto coraggio hanno deciso di occuparsi della loro azienda, hanno tutelato i loro posti di lavoro e sono diventati loro imprenditori attraverso un percorso di cooperazione, anche un percorso legato alla sostenibilità, perché qui vengono prodotti degli elementi che sono legati alla tutela dell'ambiente.
Following the reopening, production is now focused on disposable items in certified and zero-emission bioplastic.
La transizione verso la bioplastica credo che sia ormai un processo inarrestabile. Abbiamo sposato anche le direttive dell'Unione Europea e in questo modo contribuiremo a salvare l'ambiente, a salvare il territorio, a salvare anche un mondo più pulito per i nostri figli.
The restart of the plant marks not only the recovery of a strategic production site, but also the start of a new phase for the Manfredonia area, based on social responsibility, innovation, and environmental sustainability.
Hundreds of objects have already been found during an excavation process at Paris's Notre Dame Cathedral. The process was sparked as the town wants to turn the square in front of the cathedral into a space with trees and shade. Archaeologists are excavating 4 meters down, reaching remains dating back to Roman Paris and covering roughly 20 centuries of history.
Au moment de la construction de Notre-Dame, il faut imaginer que tout le parvis, il est construit de maisons médiévales. Il y a une rue au milieu du parvis et il y a des maisons au sud et il y a des maisons au nord. Donc on a retrouvé ces maisons, les fondations de ces maisons, évidemment elles ne sont plus en élévation, les fondations de ces maisons, les caves de ces maisons.
According to the archaeologists, the first traces appear 50 centimeters down, and some days they feel 15 crates full of objects. Among the findings are jugs and cups, ceramics, medieval pottery, and even a coin with the face of Constantine, the Roman emperor who ruled in the early 300s AD. The new square with 160 trees is part of Paris's plan to adapt to global warming. It should mostly be finished by 2028.